Approximately 4 years ago, around this time of year, my husband started showing some very unusual symptoms. His voice became a little bit slurred, and it took 6 months, and this turned into a diagnosis of ALS. Right now, my husband is completely paralyzed. He is on life support, which means he has a ventilator that breathes for him. He gets all of his food and medicine through a feeding tube, and he communicates with this really incredible computer called a Toby, which has a sensor at the bottom that sees the reflection in his eyes of light and can tell where he's looking. And he types with his eyes, and then the computer speaks for him. Before my husband got sick, he was very, very outgoing. He was a musician. He played guitar. He danced. He sang beautifully. He was a master storyteller. He could talk to anybody he met. A little kid, cranky old man, whatever it was, he always found a way to communicate. And he did. He used all of his talents in the service of Hashem, and to be a good rabbi, and to be a good husband, and a good father, and a good friend. And over the course, the first year and a half of his illness, we slowly watched all of these things disappear. I found something really remarkable about him. As he lost all of these things that we identify with, he lost his ability to sing, his ability to talk and eat and kiss the kids, and he lost his ability to tell stories and then play guitar and dance. He never lost his identity. If somebody were to ask you who you are, you would probably tell them a couple things about what you can do, or what your job is, or who you are in relation to your family. That's how we form our identity. I'm a musician, I'm a student, I'm a daughter. There's a phrase that is given credit to Stephen Hawking, who's probably the most famous person aside from Lou Gehrig who has this disease. But I'm pretty sure it's a Hasidic phrase long before he was born. We are not a body with a soul, we're a soul with a body. In my husband's situation, you could actually see that. If you knew him before and you come into the room, you see his personality reflected through his eyes. You see that he's all completely there. He laughs. He's able to communicate, so he tells jokes, and he's still so him. And sometimes it's easy to lose your identity as you're looking for what you want to do and who you want to be, and your talents change and your major changes. And your identity is a soul burning strong within you. And it doesn't matter what happens in your life, that identity is never going to disappear. You may forget it, you may not be as sensitive to it, but that is always there. And that soul is a valuable part of God. We have value. It doesn't matter where you end up in your life. It doesn't matter the mistakes you make. It doesn't matter if you fall on the floor and get stepped on and crumpled. You have an inherent value as a human being. Our lives are different than most people right now, and you may think that it's a lonely life. He's in bed almost all the time. Occasionally we get him out for my daughter's bas mitzvah, my other daughter's graduation. Sometimes he gets just go outside and see the sky and feel the wind. But most of his life is in bed in one room in the house. One might think that, what purpose is there to that kind of life? And let me just tell you a little bit about his life beyond being confined to a bed and not being able to move. My husband has about 100 visitors every week. He writes a blog, which takes him an entire day. He writes a blog on the Torah portion every week. He's just finished his second cycle of doing it, and now he's starting the third year. And he communicates with people all over the world through Facebook and through email. And he says to me, my dream hasn't changed, because I can still do what I always wanted to do. I'm doing it from a bed. But before, I lived in a hick town. I had about 50 people who I would be able to reach. And now, I'm in touch with people all around the world. And what we think of as limitations, he thinks of as gifts.
If you like that video, hit the subscribe button and notification bell below for hours of the best Jewish content online.